Well, good evening, students, and welcome to Epic Online. Man, I'm glad you're joining us tonight. And tonight we're going to be continuing in our series, I Have Questions. So I'm going to start just by asking you all a simple question tonight. Have you ever been running late for something? It could be school, a game, a band concert, and you're running all over the house and you can't find that one specific thing that you are looking for. Like it could be a notebook or a folder that it's like you have to bring it to class that day because your grade depends on it. Or maybe it's even like a certain pair of socks that you have to have in order, to go on for tonight's performance and look presentable. So what do? You run all over the place, right? You're running all over your room. You're looking everywhere. You're tearing through your drawers. You're looking under your bed. You're looking in your closet, and you can't find that thing anywhere. So in a moment like this, you may start to ask yourself, it's like you look around and you're like, man, where did all of this junk come from? And you start to think and you're like, I've been planning for weeks and weeks to kind of clean my room up and get things organized. But guess what? That day, it's just never come. And if you're like me and a lot of other people, you start to use all kinds of excuses not to clean it up, not to get that thing done. And you do everything in your power to just kind of avoid that disaster or that thing that is just waiting for you. Have you ever been there? Have you ever experienced something like that? And if you have, you may ask yourself, or you may wonder the question, like, what causes this type of neglect and procrastination? Right? What causes us to do this? Because here's the thing, we all do it. We all procrastinate. We all push things aside because we know that there are things that just need to get done. But for some reason, man, I'm telling you, it's like we just don't feel like doing it. Well, do you know what that's called? Laziness. That's right, laziness. Now listen, laziness, hey, we've all been there. We have all felt that way, and we have all, at some point in our life, given in to the temptation to do nothing and just to be lazy. So let me give you a couple of kind of synonyms for the word lazy. Idle, lethargic, sloth, sluggish, right? All of these are words that describe what it means to be lazy. And I'm telling you, all of us have fallen victim to them at some point in our lives. I mean, because you got to admit it. There are times where you just don't feel like getting out of bed, aren't there? There are days where you're like, I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like getting dressed. I don't feel like making my own food. I don't feel like hanging out with my friends, going to church, like plain and simple. I just want to lay around and be lazy. Now, here's the thing, like relaxing, right? Actually, being tired and needing sleep, like that's totally understandable. That's not what I'm talking about here. But being lazy, laying around doing nothing, not because you need it, but just being lazy to the point of being unproductive for like extended periods of time, that's where the problem comes in. And those are situations that if we're not careful, we can find ourselves kind of falling victim to. And again, there are going to be times, especially as a high school student, where you're going to need to take a couple of days off. I mean, you're going to need to rest and replenish because I know that you all have very busy lives. And if you need a couple days, if you need to rest, if you need to take some time off, you know what I say to that? Go ahead, do it. Like you deserve it, right? Because between school and sports and job and clubs and all the extracurricular activity that you all are involved in, you need rest. Totally get it. But there is a huge difference between rest and laziness. Look what it says here in Proverbs 20:13. Do not love sleep, or you will grow poor. Stay awake, and you will have food to spare. Now, here's the thing. The writer is not telling us, like, man, if you stay awake and if you pull an all-nighter, like, magically Taco Bell is going to be there waiting for you at your table. Or you're going to open up the oven and there's going to be like a fresh pizza waiting for you. As amazing as that might sound, that is not at all what he is talking about here. What he actually means is do not love sleep. Do not love being lazy. Do not love being idle to the point of being unproductive. Well, why is that? Why does he tell us that? Because he knows that the result of being lazy and being idle, especially for long periods of time, results in poverty or results in having absolutely nothing to show for it. But think about this. There is a flip side to that. Right? Being productive, staying active, being diligent, I'm telling you, that brings satisfaction to your life and it brings success. Laziness is what causes you to miss out on the great things that God has planned for your life. So let me read for you another proverb. I love this one because it describes just how like ridiculously lazy some people are and like all of like the over the top kind of crazy out there excuses people make for their laziness. Now in this proverb, the person that the writer is talking about, the lazy person, he actually calls them a sluggard. Now I don't know about you, but there is like nothing more, like there is no better word that I can think of to describe a lazy person than a sluggard. I think of a slug, I just think of this like big old fat, slimy, doing nothing, laying around all day long, just lazy thing. And that's exactly what the writer is talking about here. In Proverbs 26:13, it says this, the sluggard says, there's a lion in the road, a fierce lion roaming the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so a sluggard turns in his bed. A sluggard buries his hand in the dish, but he is too lazy to bring it back to his mouth. So in this proverb, we are given like three characteristics or examples of what the sluggard, the lazy person is like. Let me explain these to you. The first one, he says, the sluggard or the lazy person is an excuse maker. They will find an excuse not to work or not to do anything. Here he kind of makes the claim that there's a lion in the road, a fierce lion out in the streets. Man, I can't go out there. If I go outside, I'm going to get attacked and killed. So I may as well just like stay home and do absolutely nothing, right? He's making an excuse. The slugger, the lazy person always has an excuse of why they can't do something. Right? They never put forth the effort to actually doing something, but they've always got a really good excuse on why they can't do it. Do you know people like this? Like the excuse maker, they always can find a reason not to do something. They always have an excuse for why they don't have to do anything. Do you know people like that? Maybe are you that person yourself? Right? They make the excuse because they are so lazy, they don't want to do anything. That's the first thing. The second thing, the second kind of characteristic that's described here is the sluggard doesn't like to get out of bed. Plain and simple, just like I read to you in that last proverb, Proverbs 20:13, they love sleep. The lazy person just loves to sleep and lay around and do absolutely nothing. Like, the example or the analogy given here is a door. And, because a door, it like moves on its hinge, right, this way, but doesn't actually go anywhere. So just like a lazy person kind of laying around, they might flip and turn on the couch and get more comfortable so they end up getting sores from just laying around all day. But they're unproductive and they love sleep. They are just plain and simple a sluggard, lazy person. That's the second thing. The final thing that he says is that, and I find this one honestly to be the funniest, and it's definitely like the laziest one of all of them, is that the sluggard buries his hand in a plate full of food, and he is so absolutely lazy that he doesn't even have the energy or the initiative, to bring the food back to his mouth in order to eat it. I mean, that is just plain and simple as lazy as you can get. I think you would agree with that. Now, I get that some of these examples sound very extreme, and you may never, you might be thinking like, I am never going to become so lazy that I physically can't reach out, grab some food, and bring it back to my mouth. I get that, right? But you get the point. You understand what the writer is trying to explain here. He is trying to tell us, listen, man, laziness produces nothing, and laziness gets you nowhere. So the question that you and I need to figure out is like, how do we, fight against laziness? How do we fight against the urge to be lazy? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you three things that you can do daily, starting tomorrow, starting today even. I want you to start doing these things every single day to fight against this temptation that we all feel to be lazy. Because let's be honest, right now, more than ever during the quarantine, you have the temptation to be a sluggard, don't you? You don't really have any motivation to do anything because you can't go anywhere. We're at a stay-at-home order, so it's just like this idleness and this, lethargic lifestyle can just sink in so quickly, and boom, before you know it, you are like the lazy person, the sluggard that proverb talks about. So, let's fight against that. Let me give you 3 ways to do that. Number 1, set a time to go to bed and to get up every single day. Right? Have a schedule. I'm going to go to bed at this time and I'm going to get up at this time every single day. Now, I understand that, maybe Saturday is an exception. You stay up a little late on Friday night, you sleep in a little bit on Saturday morning. I get that. But outside of that, you need to have a set schedule. You need to be going to bed at the same time every night and getting up at the same time because your body needs a certain amount of sleep. Now, I get it. That kind of differs for everybody, right? I can usually operate kind of at my max capacity, 100% if I get 7 hours of sleep a night. Now, for some people, that's crazy. Like, they can operate under, 5 hours. Some people need 8, 9, 10 hours. I get it. You know yourself more than I do. So whatever you need, get that amount of sleep every single night. So for me, I like to make sure I am in bed by, 10:30 because I like to get up between 6:30 and 7 every day. Now, that's more than the 7 hours that I need, but I know it takes me a little while to fall asleep. I might want to, put a show on and kind of doze off as that, that episode is ending. Whatever it is, figure it out. Set yourself a schedule, go to bed, get up every single day because that will keep you productive and that will keep you from fighting against the temptation to be lazy. So that's number 1. Number 2, after you get up, this is so important, get ready. Take a shower, get ready, brush your teeth, comb your hair, comb your beard, whatever you do normally in the morning, when school is in, get up and do those things every single day. I'm telling you, nothing leads to laziness more than laying around in pajama pants all day. I've never met someone who is motivated to work hard and to be productive when they're in pajama pants. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. So get up, get dressed, get ready, and fight against, the feeling of wanting to be lazy and unproductive. I'm telling you, a shower and getting yourself cleaned up to look nice, even though you might not be going anywhere, it still makes you feel better and it'll help you produce a lot better, and it'll help you have energy and it'll help you be productive. So that's number 2. Get up, get ready, take a shower every single morning. And number 3, and this is the most important, set aside time every single day to be with God. This is so important. I can't tell you how important this is because what I know is when you are spiritually dead, that will overflow into your physical life. And you will start to just become unproductive. And this is where laziness, I believe, really sets in for people. Jesus said, man does not live on bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God. Now, what he meant by that is like your spiritual life and your physical life, they're connected, right? Just like you wouldn't go for long periods of time without eating food, you shouldn't go for long periods of time without meeting with God and spiritually feeding your soul. Because what happens when you do that? Well, you start to spiritually die on the inside, which then, kind of can overflow into your physical life, and you start to become lazy and unproductive. I'm telling you, I meet with God every single morning, and just reading his word and praying, it energizes me way more than the coffee I drink, way more than the breakfast I might have. I'm telling you, there is something about God's word. There is something about meeting with God and spending time with him that, boom, just makes me want to be productive. It makes me feel good, and it energizes me, and then really allows me to live that life that God has planned for me. And in the life that he wants you to live as well. So get up, go to bed, set a time to go to bed and get up on time every single day. Get up, get ready, get yourself going, and meet with God. I'm telling you, students, you do those 3 things. You start putting those steps into play tonight. Go to bed, get up, get ready, get cleaned up, meet with God. You start doing that, and you are going to be amazed at how that will help you fight against this temptation that we all fall victim to be lazy. Because I don't want you to be a sluggard. I don't want you to be unproductive. I want you guys to be, the people, the students that God has created you to be. And laying around all day, being a lazy bum, that is not who he made us to be. He made us to be inventors, creators, productive workers, members of, our society who really are kind of leading the way in what it means to be a hard worker. And that's what I want for you. So let me pray, and then go ahead and jump into your small groups and kind of continue this fun, exciting topic of what it means to be a sluggard and how to fight against that. Let me pray for you guys. Father, thank you for these students. Thank you that they've set aside time today to hear from you and hear from your word, Lord. I pray that you give us the strength to fight against this temptation that can overly take us so easily, this temptation to be lazy. Lord, be with us and give us the energy, the strength, and the spirit just to continue every single day to be the men and women who you have created us to be. I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, have an awesome week. We're not going to be meeting next week because it's Mother's Day. So spend some time with your mom, and I will see you guys. We'll launch a brand new series after we come out of Mother's Day weekend. Have a good one. Talk to you later.